and the government and social research sector more broadly, beyond the day-to-day project communication, into the areas of sharing ideas, methodologies, and also a bit about how we observe that citizens, the public, see this world. Just a little bit of background. The Ipsos Social Research Institute comprises the largest team of social researchers in Australia. Recently, Ipsos globally completed the acquisition of Sinovate, another global research company, to become the third largest survey company in the world. While interesting, of direct importance to us is that we've added additional social researchers in Western Australia and in South Australia to our number, providing genuine national coverage of all mainland capital cities as well as Canberra. So to introduce myself, my name is Mark Davis, I'm the Managing Director of the Ipsos Social Research Institute, and it's my pleasure to give you a bit of a feel for our view on the year in review and where things might be heading for the next year. Some of the things that we've seen in 2011. So in a global sense, global populations increase, and yet the world gets smaller and smaller. People have been mobilising across the globe and uprising for various reasons, ranging from those people fighting for social repression in Libya and Egypt and Syria, those who've been economically affected in Greece and Spain, and those economically disaffected, so the Occupy movement, for example, Wall Street, New York, even here in Melbourne. But then we look at what's going on in the UK with riots and think, well, I wonder where they would fit. So some people would say, well, you know, they're fighting social repression, the youth in London and Manchester, a bit like the Libyan people. That might be a stretch. Some people would say that the poor economic state of the UK, subsequent high youth unemployment, led to the riots. And some would argue that that justifies the behaviour, given that they're both economically affected and disaffected. And others would agree, or would argue, that it was simply an excuse to smash and steal and loot and be generally disruptive to society. So the bottom line in all of this, really, is that it's too simple to segment any of these people into discrete groups. So what have we seen in Australia? Well, we move to the local front. Our climate change report, which is about to be released over the course of coming weeks, we asked people whether they agreed with the statement. I have serious doubts about whether climate change is occurring. Now 75%, over 75% of people are saying, yep. 23% of people, on the other hand, don't believe. They don't think that climate change is occurring. And when we look at the opinions, and that's a little bit hard to read, but it stayed pretty static between last year and this year. And the only change, which is that little bit at the top, and the other one on the third bar down there, is really whether it's related mostly or entirely due to human reasons or natural causes. And so we've seen in the last 12 months, natural causes have just nudged up a fraction over human reasons. Now, apologies for the messy line here, but what you'll see across 24 countries since January 2010, and the data goes back earlier, but the key points there, if you look in the top left-hand corner, you'll see that as far as the current economic situation being good or very good, Australia is right up the top there. 81% of people in Australia, that red line, said that that was the current economic situation in Australia. Now, just under 2 years later, you'll see that we've dropped down to about 6th. In terms of the key issues in Australia, we've found that healthcare and hospitals and inflation and cost of living are the two key issues that are coming up for Australians. And we've also seen significant movement in 3 different areas. The economy, which admittedly is somewhat related to inflation and cost of living. Unemployment, both have gone up. And environmental, pollution and water concerns have gone down. We've seen evaluation as a growing area for government, and it's certainly one in which we're investing.